Life is not gentle, it never promises comfort, but it always offers a choice, to be ruled by events, or to rule yourself. Stoicism teaches one simple idea: you cannot control everything, but you can control yourself. When you understand this, you stop feeling weak. You become steady. You become unstoppable. Here are 7 Stoic truths to shape the strongest version of yourself. Control begins with understanding ownership. Some things belong to you, and some things never will. Your thoughts, your choices, your actions, and the meaning you give to events are yours. What others think, what they say, what they do, the past, the future, and the outcome of many efforts are not. Confusion between these two creates suffering. Clarity between them creates strength. Most frustration comes from trying to command what cannot be commanded. The weather, other people's behavior, sudden loss, unexpected change. Fighting these realities drains energy and clouds judgment. Acceptance is not weakness. It is seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. When you stop arguing with reality, your mind becomes calm and focused. Control does not mean forcing events to obey you. It means choosing your response. When something goes wrong, you still decide how to think, how to speak, and how to act. This choice is always available, even in hardship. A person who controls their reaction cannot be defeated from the outside. Circumstances may press down, but they cannot rule the inner self. Anger often comes from false expectations. Expecting fairness from an unfair world leads to constant disappointment. Expecting others to think like you or act with your values leads to resentment. Release these expectations. Replace them with preparation. When you expect difficulty, you are not shocked by it. When you expect obstacles, you meet them with reason instead of emotion. Focusing on what is within your control brings responsibility. You no longer blame luck, people, or fate. You look inward. If your work fails, you improve your effort. If your body is weak, you train it. If your mind is restless, you discipline it. This shift from blame to responsibility changes everything. It turns problems into tasks and fear into action. Many people waste their days worrying about outcomes. Will it succeed? Will it fail? Will I be judged? Will I be rejected? These questions pull the mind into the future, where no control exists. Action lives only in the present. When you focus on effort instead of result, anxiety fades. You do what must be done, and you leave the rest to nature. Letting go of what you cannot control does not mean becoming passive. It means becoming precise. You place your energy only where it matters. You speak when speech is useful. You act when action is possible. You remain silent when silence is wise. This economy of energy builds inner stability. Even loss obeys this truth. You may lose possessions, status, health, or comfort. These were never fully yours. What remains is your character. How you face loss reveals who you are. A person who accepts loss without collapse has trained their understanding of control. Every day offers chances to practice this discipline. A delayed plan, a rude comment, a failure. Each moment asks the same question: is this within my control? If it is, act. If it is not, accept and move forward. Repeating this simple rule builds a mind that is steady and resilient. When control is properly understood, life becomes less noisy. The mind stops chasing what it cannot catch. Energy is no longer scattered. Strength grows quietly. You stop reacting and start choosing. You become guided by reason instead of emotion. You stand firm, not because life is gentle, but because you are disciplined in knowing what is yours and what is not. Pain arrives without asking. It enters life, suddenly or slowly, through loss, effort, failure, or change. Most people resist it, complain about it, or try to escape it. But pain is not random punishment. It is a signal. It shows where you are attached, where you are weak, where you still need to grow. When pain is seen as an enemy, it controls you. When pain is seen as a teacher, it serves you. Avoiding pain makes the mind soft. Comfort becomes a habit, and habits shape character. A life built only on comfort lacks endurance. The smallest difficulty feels unbearable. Pain, when faced, strengthens awareness. It forces attention. It strips away illusion and exposes truth. In moments of pain, you see what truly matters and what never did. Physical effort teaches patience and discipline. Training the body through strain and fatigue builds respect for limits and understanding of progress. Mental pain teaches control of thought. Disappointment, rejection, and failure challenge the mind to remain calm. Each form of pain carries instruction. Ignoring it wastes the lesson. Enduring it with awareness turns it into strength. Pain tests values. When things are easy, principles are unchallenged. When things hurt, principles are revealed. In hardship, you discover whether your character is stable or dependent on comfort. Pain shows if you act with reason or react with impulse. This is why it must be faced, not feared. Resisting pain often creates more suffering than the pain itself. Complaining does not reduce difficulty. Worry does not remove loss. Fear does not protect you. These reactions add weight to what is already heavy. Acceptance lightens the load. Accepting pain does not mean liking it. It means recognizing its presence without panic. Growth requires friction. Without resistance, nothing develops strength. Muscles grow by strain. Skill grows through mistakes. Wisdom grows through experience. Pain is the cost of becoming better. Wanting growth without pain is wanting a result without the process. The Stoic understands that progress demands discomfort. Pain also builds humility. It reminds you that control is limited and strength must be earned. It removes arrogance and replaces it with patience. Those who have suffered deeply often carry quiet strength. They move with understanding. They do not waste energy on small irritations. They know what truly matters. There is also freedom in pain. When you stop running from it, it loses its power to frighten you. Fear feeds on avoidance. Courage grows through exposure. Facing pain voluntarily trains the mind to stay steady under pressure. This steadiness becomes a shield in all areas of life. Not all pain can be avoided, but all pain can be used. Loss teaches impermanence. Failure teaches adjustment. Effort teaches discipline. Each challenge carries information. The question is whether you listen. A mind trained to learn from pain grows stronger with every hardship. Pain also teaches compassion. Understanding your own suffering helps you understand others. It removes judgment and replaces it with patience. Strength does not require cruelty. True strength includes calm understanding. When pain appears, the Stoic does not ask for escape. The Stoic asks for clarity. What can be learned here? What must be endured? What must be released? This approach turns pain into progress. Over time, pain changes from something feared into something respected. It becomes part of training, part of refinement. The mind learns that discomfort is temporary, but growth is lasting. What once caused collapse now builds resilience. The person who learns from pain becomes harder to break and calmer under pressure, not because pain disappeared, but because it was understood, and used discipline is often misunderstood. Many see it as restriction, punishment, or a loss of pleasure. In truth, discipline is the ability to choose what is right over what is easy. It is not force imposed from outside, but order created within. Without discipline, the mind becomes a servant to impulse. With discipline, the mind becomes steady and clear. Every impulse promises comfort or escape. Sleep instead of effort. Distraction instead of focus. Pleasure instead of progress. These choices feel harmless in the moment, but repeated over time they create weakness. Discipline interrupts this pattern. It teaches delay. It teaches restraint. It builds the habit of acting with intention rather than desire. Freedom does not come from doing whatever you want. That path leads to dependence. True freedom comes from not being controlled by cravings, moods, or fear. A disciplined person can act even when motivation is absent. This ability creates independence from emotional swings. When you can act regardless of how you feel, you gain control over your life. Discipline begins with small actions. Waking up when the alarm sounds. Completing tasks even when they feel boring. Choosing effort over comfort. These moments seem insignificant, but they shape identity. Each disciplined act strengthens trust in yourself. You become someone who follows through. This self-trust becomes a source of inner peace. A lack of discipline creates chaos. Missed opportunities. Regret. Constant stress. When actions are inconsistent, the mind becomes anxious. Discipline creates structure. Structure reduces uncertainty. With structure, energy is conserved. Decisions become simpler. You know what must be done and you do it. Discipline also protects time. Time is easily wasted when the mind is undirected. Endless distractions consume hours without reward. Discipline sets boundaries. It decides when to work, when to rest, when to stop. These limits do not reduce life. They give it shape. A life without limits becomes scattered and unfulfilled. Self-discipline strengthens the will. Each time you resist a temptation, the mind becomes stronger. Each time you act despite discomfort, resilience grows. This strength carries into all areas of life. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Discipline turns obstacles into routines. Comfort weakens awareness. When everything is easy, attention fades. Discipline keeps awareness sharp. It keeps the mind present. Effort demands focus. Focus creates clarity. Clarity improves judgment. This chain strengthens character. Discipline also builds respect. Not from others, but from yourself. Knowing you did what was necessary builds quiet confidence. This confidence does not need approval. It is stable because it is earned. External praise may come or go, but inner respect remains. A disciplined life does not reject enjoyment. It chooses it wisely. Pleasure is no longer an escape, but a reward. Rest becomes meaningful when it follows effort. Enjoyment becomes deeper when it is not constant. Discipline restores balance. When discipline becomes habit, it no longer feels heavy. It becomes natural. What once required effort becomes routine. The mind stops negotiating with itself. Action follows decision. This simplicity reduces inner conflict. Discipline prepares you for hardship. When difficulty arrives, the disciplined mind does not panic. It adapts. It continues. Training in small discomforts builds tolerance for larger ones. The person who has practiced restraint is not shocked by challenge. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about consistency. Missing once is human. Quitting is a choice. Returning to discipline strengthens resolve. Each return reinforces control. Through discipline, you gain freedom from regret, from chaos, from self-doubt. You gain the ability to shape your days with intention. You become capable of acting in alignment with values instead of moods. This quiet strength allows you to move through life with steadiness and purpose. Desire for praise is natural, but dependence on it creates weakness. When your sense of worth is tied to approval, your actions no longer belong to you. They belong to the crowd. Praise can lift you briefly, but it cannot support you for long. It is unstable and often misleading. What is praised today may be criticized tomorrow. Approval shifts with mood, opinion, and trend. Building your identity on it is like building on sand. When praise disappears, confidence collapses. When criticism appears, peace is lost. The Stoic understands that value must come from within, not from the voices outside. Seeking praise changes behavior. You begin to perform rather than act. Choices are made to be seen, not to be right. Truth becomes secondary to appearance. This creates inner conflict, because you know when you act against your principles, that conflict erodes self-respect. True work does not require applause. Most meaningful effort happens quietly. Growth is often invisible. Character is built when no one is watching. Depending on praise distracts from this process. It pulls attention away from the task and toward reaction. Criticism feels painful when approval is your goal. Every negative word becomes a threat. But criticism is often careless, emotional, or uninformed. Giving it power over your mind hands control to others. You cannot prevent opinions, but you can refuse to be ruled by them. Praise can also be dangerous. It creates comfort. Comfort invites stagnation. When praised, many stop improving. They protect their image instead of developing skill. This slows growth. Improvement requires honesty, not admiration. The Stoic chooses a different measure. Actions are judged by reason, effort, and alignment with values. If an action is right, it is done, regardless of response. If it is wrong, it is corrected, regardless of praise. This internal standard creates stability. Releasing dependence on praise does not mean rejecting feedback. Honest feedback helps improvement. The difference is intention. Feedback is information. Praise is emotion. One is useful. The other is temporary. Wisdom separates them. When you no longer chase approval, fear decreases. You speak more truthfully. You act more decisively. You accept solitude when necessary. Independence of thought becomes possible. This independence strengthens judgment. Approval often rewards conformity, but progress comes from clarity, not imitation. Many of the best decisions are unpopular at first. If approval is required, courage disappears. Letting go of praise allows integrity to lead. Inner worth grows through effort and discipline. Completing difficult tasks, keeping promises to yourself. Acting with fairness. These actions build confidence that does not rely on applause. This confidence is quiet and durable. Depending on praise also creates comparison. You measure yourself against others and their reactions. This leads to envy and insecurity. Without praise as a measure, comparison loses power. You focus on improvement, not ranking. The Stoic trains the mind to be satisfied with honest effort. Whether noticed or ignored, the work continues. This steadiness builds resilience. Praise becomes pleasant but unnecessary. Criticism becomes noise rather than threat. Living without dependence on praise simplifies life. You no longer adjust yourself to fit expectations. You become consistent. Consistency builds trust in yourself. This trust creates calm. When approval no longer guides action, purpose becomes clearer. You act from principle. You accept that misunderstanding is part of life. You stop seeking permission to be yourself. Strength grows when actions are rooted in reason, not reaction. Time is the one resource that cannot be replaced. It moves forward without pause, taking each moment with it. Many live as if time is endless, delaying what matters and wasting energy on what does not. Forgetting the limit of time leads to careless living. Remembering it sharpens focus and brings urgency to every action. Awareness of limited time does not create fear. It creates clarity. When you know that each day is finite, choices become simpler. Trivial concerns lose importance. Meaningful work gains priority. You stop postponing important conversations, important actions, and important changes. Most regret is born from delay. Waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for confidence, waiting for permission. Time does not wait in return. The Stoic understands that action belongs to the present. The future is uncertain. The past is fixed. Only now can be used. Living with purpose means aligning daily actions with values. Time reveals priorities through use. Where attention goes, life follows. Wasting time on anger, distraction, or comparison slowly erodes purpose. Using time deliberately builds direction. Remembering death is not morbid. It is grounding. It reminds you that this life is temporary. This awareness cuts through fear of judgment and attachment to small things. When time is seen as limited, courage increases. You are less afraid to act honestly and more willing to take responsibility. Many people fill time instead of using it. Endless noise, constant stimulation, and busy routines hide emptiness. Purpose requires silence and reflection. It requires choosing what deserves your hours. Not everything that demands attention deserves time. Time also demands balance. Working without rest leads to burnout. Resting without effort leads to stagnation. Purpose is found in rhythm. Discipline gives structure to time. Without structure, days blur together. With structure, days become meaningful. Small actions repeated over time create lasting results. Improvement does not require dramatic change. It requires consistency. Time rewards patience and effort. Ignoring time's power leads to disappointment. Respecting it leads to progress. Using time well also means letting go. Holding on to resentment, regret, or guilt consumes time without return. These thoughts do not change the past. Releasing them frees attention for the present. Acceptance protects time from waste. Purpose is not always grand. It is found in doing what must be done well, caring for responsibilities, acting with fairness, improving skill. These acts shape a meaningful life when done consistently over time. Awareness of time also deepens appreciation. Moments become more valuable when they are known to be limited. Simple experiences gain meaning. Gratitude grows naturally. You stop rushing through life and start noticing it. When time is treated casually, life feels shallow. When time is treated with respect, life gains depth. Decisions are made with thought. Energy is spent with intention. Distraction loses appeal. The Stoic does not rush blindly. The Stoic acts deliberately. Urgency does not mean haste. It means focus. It means not wasting effort on what does not matter. It means moving steadily toward what does. Time exposes truth. Excuses fade. Patterns become clear. How you use your time shows who you are. Aligning time with values builds integrity. Integrity builds inner peace. Living with awareness of limited time encourages honesty. You speak what matters. You forgive faster. You pursue what is meaningful rather than what is popular. This mindset simplifies life and strengthens resolve. Each morning brings a new portion of time, not guaranteed to return. Treating it as precious changes behavior. Purpose grows when time is used with care, attention, and respect. The mind is the center of experience. What you think shapes how you feel, and how you feel shapes how you act. Events themselves are neutral. It is the judgment placed upon them that creates disturbance. When the mind is unguarded, it becomes a doorway for fear, anger, and confusion. Guarding the mind is not avoidance of reality, but control over interpretation. Fear often comes from imagining outcomes that have not happened. The mind projects forward and creates threats that may never arrive. This drains energy and weakens focus. Fear grows when left unchecked. It feeds on uncertainty and exaggeration. A disciplined mind brings attention back to the present, where action is possible and clarity exists. Anger is another intruder. It promises strength but delivers loss of control. In anger, reason leaves and impulse takes over. Words are spoken that cannot be taken back. Actions are taken that create regret. Guarding the mind means pausing before reacting. It means choosing restraint over release. Thoughts arrive constantly. Not all deserve attention. Some are habits, some are echoes of past experiences, some are distortions. Believing every thought is a mistake. The Stoic trains the mind to observe thoughts without obeying them. This distance creates freedom. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to follow. External events often try to invade the mind. Insults, setbacks, loss, and change all demand reaction. Without training, the mind reacts automatically. With training, the mind responds deliberately. This difference determines peace or turmoil. Guarding the mind requires awareness of triggers and patience in response. Calm is not weakness. It is strength under control. A calm mind sees options clearly. It does not rush to judgment. It does not exaggerate problems. Calm allows reason to lead. Reason chooses actions aligned with values rather than emotion. Media, noise, and constant stimulation weaken the mind. Endless information creates distraction and anxiety. Guarding the mind includes limiting what enters it. Silence and reflection restore balance. A quiet mind is not empty. It is focused. Fear often disguises itself as concern. Anger disguises itself as justice. Recognizing these disguises is part of guarding the mind. Question emotional reactions. Ask whether they are useful or harmful. Many emotions demand expression but offer no solution. The mind becomes stronger through practice. Just as the body adapts to training, the mind adapts to discipline. Each time you resist panic, strength increases. Each time you let go of anger, clarity improves. Small victories accumulate. Perspective protects the mind. Viewing events as temporary reduces their power. Most troubles pass. Remembering this prevents overreaction. What feels overwhelming now may soon be insignificant. Guarding the mind includes reminding yourself of this truth. Self-talk shapes experience. Harsh inner dialogue weakens resolve. Honest and firm self-talk strengthens it. Guard the words you use within. They influence behavior more than words from others. The mind should be trained to accept reality as it is. Resisting reality creates frustration. Acceptance does not remove effort. It removes unnecessary struggle. When the mind accepts facts, it can focus on action. Anger and fear thrive on surprise. Preparation reduces their impact. Expect difficulty. Expect change. When challenges arrive, they feel familiar rather than shocking. The mind stays steady. Guarding the mind also means choosing patience. Many problems resolve with time. Immediate reaction often worsens situations. Patience allows understanding to develop. Understanding guides better decisions. A guarded mind does not mean emotional numbness. It means emotional balance. Feelings are acknowledged but not allowed to rule. This balance creates resilience. The strongest fortress is internal. Walls built outside can be breached. A mind trained in discipline remains steady regardless of circumstance. When the mind is guarded, peace is maintained even when the world is unstable. Life will challenge you in ways you do not expect. People will disappoint you. Efforts will fail. Plans will collapse. These moments reveal a choice. You can allow hardship to harden you with bitterness, or you can allow it to shape you with strength. Bitterness poisons the mind. Growth sharpens it. Bitterness comes from unmet expectations. Expecting fairness, gratitude, or understanding from others often leads to resentment. When reality does not match desire, anger forms. Holding on to this anger keeps wounds open. It drains energy and clouds judgment. Growth requires release, not attachment to grievance. Hardship is not personal. Life does not aim to reward or punish. It unfolds according to nature. Taking adversity personally adds unnecessary weight. When challenges are viewed objectively, emotions settle. You begin to see obstacles as conditions, not insults. Choosing growth means asking better questions. Not why this happened, but how to respond. Not who is to blame, but what can be learned. This shift changes direction. Energy moves from complaint to action. Action builds capability. Resilience is built through response, not avoidance. Avoiding pain delays development. Facing it develops strength. Each challenge carries potential. Whether it becomes bitterness or wisdom depends on interpretation. Bitterness narrows perspective. It keeps the mind fixed on the past. Growth expands perspective. It focuses on progress. When attention remains on what was lost or unfair, movement stops. When attention turns to improvement, momentum begins. Forgiveness plays a role in growth, not for others, but for yourself. Carrying resentment keeps you tied to the source of pain. Letting go restores freedom. Forgiveness does not excuse harm. It releases control. Growth also requires humility. Admitting mistakes allows correction. Defensiveness protects ego but blocks learning. When pride is loosened, understanding enters. This understanding strengthens character. Challenges expose habits. Under pressure, true patterns emerge. Recognizing these patterns allows change. Ignoring them repeats cycles. Growth depends on honest self-observation. Bitterness often disguises itself as strength. It claims toughness, but it limits adaptability. Growth creates flexibility. Flexible minds adjust, rigid minds break. Strength lies in adaptability, not hardness. Comparison fuels bitterness. Watching others succeed while you struggle can distort perception. Life does not move at the same pace for everyone. Measuring progress against others steals focus. Growth is personal. Attention belongs on your own path. Patience supports growth. Progress is rarely immediate. Expecting fast results leads to frustration. Patience allows effort to accumulate. Small improvements compound over time. Suffering can deepen understanding. Experiencing hardship builds empathy. It broadens awareness of others' struggles. This awareness enriches character. Growth connects rather than isolates. Choosing growth also means maintaining standards. Hardship is not an excuse for cruelty or laziness. Values should remain steady under pressure. Acting with integrity strengthens self-respect. Growth requires courage. Courage to face reality. Courage to accept responsibility. Courage to change habits. This courage is quiet but persistent. Bitterness keeps you tied to what harmed you. Growth moves you forward. One looks backward with anger. The other looks ahead with purpose. The choice appears in daily reactions, small decisions, and thoughts. Each difficulty offers a crossroad. One path leads to resentment and stagnation. The other leads to wisdom and strength. The direction chosen shapes the person you become. Mastery of the self is the highest form of power. It does not depend on strength, status, or control over others. It begins internally, where thoughts, desires, and reactions are shaped. Without self-mastery, life feels chaotic. With it, life becomes steady, even in uncertainty. Many people seek control outside themselves. They try to control people, outcomes, or circumstances. This pursuit creates frustration because the world does not obey personal desire. Self-mastery redirects focus inward. It asks what can be governed within. Thoughts can be examined. Reactions can be chosen, habits can be trained. Unstoppability does not mean constant victory. It means resilience. It means continuing forward despite setbacks. A person who has mastered themselves does not collapse under pressure. They adapt. They endure. They learn. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You cannot change what you do not notice. Observing patterns of thought and behavior reveals where discipline is needed. This observation is honest and calm, not harsh. Awareness is the foundation of improvement. Emotions often feel automatic, but they are shaped by interpretation. Learning to pause before reacting creates space. In that space, reason can guide action. This pause is a form of power. It prevents regret and preserves clarity. Habits determine direction. Daily actions repeated over time shape character. Self-mastery requires deliberate habit formation. Choosing effort over ease. Choosing consistency over impulse. These choices are small but cumulative. An unstoppable person is not fearless. Fear appears, but it does not decide. Courage is acting despite discomfort. This courage grows through practice. Each time fear is faced rather than avoided, confidence strengthens. Self-mastery also involves restraint. Not every desire deserves fulfillment. Not every thought deserves belief. Learning to say no to oneself builds control. This restraint protects energy and focus. External success is unstable without internal order. Achievements without self-mastery often bring anxiety. Stability comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. This trust is built through discipline and follow-through. Mastery includes acceptance of imperfection. Progress does not require flawlessness. It requires persistence. Falling does not weaken resolve. Refusing to rise does. Returning to effort strengthens commitment. An unstoppable mindset focuses on process rather than outcome. Effort is controlled. Results are not. By committing to effort, disappointment loses power. Satisfaction comes from honest work. Self-mastery also demands patience. Growth unfolds gradually. Expecting immediate transformation creates frustration. Patience allows habits to take root. Time becomes an ally rather than an enemy. Pressure reveals mastery. In difficulty, trained responses emerge. The mind remains steady. The body continues. This steadiness is the result of preparation, not chance. An unstoppable person does not seek dominance over others. They seek alignment within themselves. This alignment creates confidence that does not need validation. Mastery also requires solitude. Time alone allows reflection and recalibration. Without reflection, patterns repeat. With reflection, progress accelerates. Distractions weaken self-mastery. Constant noise fragments attention. Guarding focus preserves strength. Focus allows deep effort. Deep effort builds skill. An unstoppable life is built quietly. There is no need for display. Progress is measured internally. Consistency matters more than recognition. Self-mastery turns obstacles into training. Each challenge becomes practice. Each failure becomes instruction. This mindset removes fear of difficulty. When you govern your thoughts, guide your actions, and discipline your habits, life loses its power to derail you. Control shifts inward. Stability increases. Progress continues regardless of circumstance. The person who masters themselves does not wait for perfect conditions. They act with what is available. They adjust without complaint. They remain committed without noise. This is how strength becomes independent of situation. This is how resilience becomes permanent. This is how a person becomes unstoppable through mastery of the self.